right, welcome. My name is Marlene Frankie, and you have joined me on my show, Unstitched. And today I am very, very happy to welcome two of my favorite guys, literally in the whole world. We have Sam Thorpe and Gavin Courtnell that own English Cloth in Huddersfield. And they're here today to spend some time with us and just chat about their industry and maybe even share some of their secrets about how Huddersfield and their company makes such amazing cloth. So, hello, gentlemen. Welcome, welcome.
Good
Thanks for
morning.
coming all the way from Huddersfield, England. It's like very early in the morning here for me. I know you guys are on lunchtime, aren't you?
We
Yeah,
are.
Yeah. Cool, cool. Well, what's a day in the life like there at English Cloth?
very cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Well,
I think we're expecting some snow in the next day or two. We've had a couple of weather warnings.
yeah.
So good old British weather, middle of February, snow.
Well, you'd hate me. Here in Texas, we're in the 60s, high
Oh,
60s.
oh,
So that's like probably,
15-ish?
huh?
Double figures. That's like 15, isn't it?
Yeah.
Celsius. Oh,
Yes. I
that's
know.
that's our summer.
I know.
Yeah, I need to go now.
I've got a flight to catch.
Come
Yeah.
visit. Come visit. Just don't come in July or August because then it's like
40.
from,
Like,
yeah, Celsius, like 93
oh,
Nope.
or more. Yeah, really hot, really hot.
bit too
So
hot.
yeah, we can't make nice wool here. It's hard to
See,
No,
make
that,
any.
that's the problem with us English. It's either too hot or too cold. We're never happy.
we're never happy.
Nobody ever is. Nobody's ever happy. We're
Never
always
happy.
Yeah,
always bitching about something. So
we're not as British unless we're complaining about something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
I know. I think everybody in every state here always says, "Oh, if you don't like the weather, just wait a minute, it'll change." And you're like, "Oh, okay, I haven't heard that
Yeah.
before." So, well, speaking of weather and Huddersfield, and let's talk a little bit because I think you know from an American standpoint, or let's not just say like the general layperson who, isn't really in the tailoring industry, right? They don't really understand the difference between a really good English wool, okay, or English cloth. And if they're going to, let's say, a local retailer, all right, to buy cloth there at a local sewing store. So what can you guys share with these folks today to kind of help them understand the difference between buying something at a retail store and actually curating cloth from a company like yours?
When you say retail store, you mean like just a suit from off the peg compared to like the fabric that we sell to people like yourself that's tailor made? Is that what you meant?
Or
No,
John.
like we actually have sewing stores here
Okay.
where you can go in, and one very popular place is called Joanne Fabrics. And so you can go into this store and they have all kinds of fabrics, fabrics for making kids costumes, and they have wools, and they have crepes, and they have stuff for making, quilting and so forth.
Okay.
Um, and I remember as a kid, my mom, when she was teaching me how to sew, it was a big deal to go to Joanne Fabrics and buy wool.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, "Oh my goodness, $50 is awfully expensive for this wool. It must be very good." Well, Mary, my mom, she didn't have a clue about Huddersfield cloth. You know what I mean? And I think that's a lot of people today, even younger folks that are looking to get into the industry and become tailors. They really don't understand the difference between buying something at a retail store like that, just a yard or two of cloth, and getting something from English cloth that has been well thought out, made in Huddersfield and so forth. So
Yeah, I think, like I said, we just well, obviously we make our fabric is traditionally made for men's suiting. Obviously, it can be made for women's suiting as well, made jackets, coats, anything like that. But I just think it's the what goes into making the fabric which makes us stand out. Like Huddersfield is world renowned for making fabric. Just the technology behind it, the weaving, and majority of it is the finishing. Because obviously you can weave the fabric anywhere in the world if you've got the machine. However, you wouldn't be able to finish the fabric without, well, yeah, being in Huddersfield really, just because of the main thing, which is the water. Um, and that's why WT Johnson's, who we use, is like say is world renowned, the best finishing house in the world.
Okay, well, tell me when you say finishing, what does that mean actually? What's the process? If you could take us through the process of like um, you know, curating the wool like directly from the sheep, okay? You've curated the wool. How does the wool go from being shorn on the sheep to actually turning into this beautiful piece of cloth or fabric?
It starts off obviously. We buy it from yarn suppliers, all local really. There's also it gets obviously spun up into yarn for starters from straight off the sheep's back. Then we buy the yarn. We then send it to the weavers, depending on whether or not the yarn is dyed already. So
Hmm.
sometimes there's two kind of fabrics. You've either got yarn dyed or what we call piece dyed. Yarn dyed is the colour of the fabric that we are making. So just for argument's sake, we're making a navy. You'd normally buy yarn that is navy dyed straight away because it's a popular fabric. However, just for example, you wanted a 40 meters of a crimson pink. Um,
Okay.
we there's no pink sheep in the world. So what you have to do, or if there is, you need to tell me about it because I think it'd be something a little bit special. But what I mean is, so we have to buy the yarn in either in ecru, which is obviously just off white, and then we weave it up in ecru, and then we use the local dye house again, which is 2 miles from the office, part of the WT Johnson's group, and we piece dye it. So then that way, then it gets woven up the fabric in white essentially. We send it there for dyeing, which will be to the pink, and then it gets finished, which is at WT Johnson's. Basically, if I gave you some fabric that is just woven up yarn, it's like sandpaper. It's rough. It's very rough. If I gave you the same fabric, finished and unfinished, without the finishing, you wouldn't believe how bad it is. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But that's just the process, really. So you've got the sloshing of the yarn, you've got the weaving. Sometimes, if it's yarn dyed, it just goes weaving straight to finishing because it doesn't need dyeing because it's already been the yarn has been dyed. Or if it needs dyeing and finishing, it'll go for dyeing then to finish. Finish is always the last process.
And so when they finish the cloth, what's involved in that? How does that, what's the process of what does that mean finishing? Like I don't even know. I'm like, what does finishing mean?
It just goes through different processes. It gets very wet because obviously you need a lot of water. Again, like
Mhm.
I mentioned before, we have the softest water on the planet. Really, that's why it's so good for finishing fabric. It's not rough. It basically because of where we are, we're sat in like a little valley, and there's all different hills around there, and it starts at the top, it comes down straight all the way down to the bottom, and like I say, WT Johnson's on top of a local little bore, so they siphon the water up, use it all, and then obviously they use all the chemicals to neutralize it back in and get it back running. So it's like a process of perfectly soft water finishing the fabric out. There's just different machines. So obviously some machines you can when how do like Ralph Lauren, for example, big global brand, they all their fabric is what we call a matte finish. They don't like shininess, but then there's some customers they like a nice shine to it. So when you're in your suit, which is called the VV finish, which we've got on the Eternity, it's like a double press like KD finish, so it looks quite a shiny effect. Where some of them have the matte finish. It's just different types of finishing.
Mm.
It's just literally going from raw material from a raw state, which I said like it's like sandpaper, and it goes through different machines, scouring. Just either sometimes if you want like a flannel, it toughs it up just because, like say, you want that milli effect, to make it like we call it fluffy. But there's just so many different processes and different avenues just to get what fabric people want, really.
Oh, that's really cool. That's super cool. That's really interesting. Okay. So, my background in accounting years ago, and I worked mostly in manufacturing. So I can kind of visualize that where, you've got different machines for different types of finishes. And really the main ingredient of that is the water. So
Yeah,
somehow this machine is filtering water through and giving the cloth its finish, if you will, and that could be a variety of different finishes.
correct.
So
But when
int-
you say you're visiting next year, we'll take you for a tour. If I could, I can explain or try to talk about them all day, but until you see it, it's like
You
a
couldn't believe
it's like a
it. Yeah.
mini city. You drive into the car park, and it's huge. There's
right,
so many different machines doing different aspects and different things, and little machines doing it for like 60, 120 meters. You've got the big machines that are doing it for thousands of meters. But also, they don't just finish fabric for suiting; they finish like furniture fabric, like rough tweed, or for like bus covers,
mm,
or any type of fabric. It can go through their different machines. So, like say, it'll be one of the like it'll. How to explain it? You understand why the price is what it is when you see how much goes into the fabric, if that makes sense,
sure,
because
yeah,
Yeah.
there
absolutely.
is so
Hmm.
much that goes on into making a piece of fabric. So that's why
Yeah.
when they make to order and it's 10, 12, 14 weeks, like 14 weeks, but you see why. And then
Yeah,
it's just one of them from start to finish. You've got so many elements of it. It's pretty crazy and very unique.
yeah. Well, and it's interesting too because again, most folks, at least here, I'm sure in England, people are very familiar with getting bespoke garments
Mhm.
there. Here, most people don't because there's not as many bespoke tailors here. The most people don't understand the difference between, let's say, a made to measure and a bespoke garment, right? um, and so when you really start thinking about the materials that go into making a beautiful suit, whether it be a made to measure or it be bespoke, that's to me the cloth is the biggest factor. If you don't have nice cloth to work with, it's like
Well, you found it's like foundations in a house, isn't it? You need the start to be perfect,
yes,
and if you
yeah,
take the best fabric, it's a lot easier to make the suit. I'm guessing.
right,
I suppose what you're saying there is obviously we've had some of your clients in the past who have been on your course and they've actually come and visited us. And they were absolutely mind blown by what actually they see when they're doing the course with you to actually what happens. So one of the things he said to us was he said like so obviously we were with Marlene and we had the fabric in front of us and we were cutting and we were sewing and stitching and making the suits. He said and all we saw was the fabric. We see the fabric and we see a price of what we pay for the fabric, and then they actually came to the UK and he visited us and we gave him the full tour. We took him around a weavers, we took him around a dye house, we took him around a finishing house, and they were just absolutely blown away. They could not believe the amount of processes that everything goes through just to get that finished garment. And at the end of the tour that we gave them, they actually turned around and said, I don't know how you can sell it and price it at the price you do, considering the amount of processes it goes through. They were bedazzled. They just couldn't believe the amount of work that goes into producing that 3.5 meter length of fabric that they're making into a suit and how we can cost it down to the price that we do. It's it's just such a long process from start to finish. And until they actually saw it, they didn't understand it.
Right.
And it was amazing to see the looks on the faces as they were going around and seeing all the different things that had to happen just to get that piece of fabric on the table.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's and I should tell all of my viewers, you know, one of the reasons why Gavin and Sam are so incredibly special to me is because they have supported the American Bespoke Tailoring Academy
Mm,
in ways that not a lot of people have. And so they give our students this ridiculously incredible discount on our cloth. Um, and that really, I think in some ways it's great because obviously they're students, and they scrimped and saved to come to the academy, and so that
mm,
really helps them. But when I tell them how much that cloth would normally cost, and I personally never got a price list from you, so I'm just guessing it a lot of time. I'll throw like, this would be, 150, pounds per meter, or 250 pounds per meter, and you're getting it for X amount. And they're
mhm.
like, no way. And so, I think it's worth telling everybody, all of our viewers, that you guys have really been an instrumental part of the academy and supporting us. And I tell you this all the time, but thank you, and how much I appreciate what you guys do for us.
No,
So,
you're
But
welcome.
it's like we've said in the past, Marlene, and we have the tailoring trade, not just from the finished garment, but from the very beginning, from the sheep to the raw wool to the spinning. It's an industry that needs all the help it can get. And you're bringing on the future. You're bringing on our replacements in effect. And that's what we need. It's a circular life. And if we all, for example, all three of us here, if we don't continue that process and continue bringing these new people through, well, where's it going to lead us? The heritage of fabric produced in Huddersfield. Obviously we send it all over the world, and the appreciation for it is helped by people like yourself. So it's something that we're proud to do, and we will continue doing. Um,
oh,
we love it.
well, thanks. And here too, I think working. I really enjoyed working with clients and making suits for clients, but teaching. And I'm going into 5 years doing this now. It's been a journey for sure.
Can imagine.
Yeah, I love it, but there's a lot of challenges with it for sure,
Mhm.
and we don't have to get into that now. But I think the point that I would just agree with Gavin is, if we don't do it, who is? Who is
Exactly.
going to do it? And when you think about the number of schools that are teaching, tailoring, there's not really that many in the world nowadays. So everybody's always saying to me, when are you going to retire? When are you going to retire? And I'm like, well, that's really hard, because if I retire, there's no other school in the United States that's doing this right now,
Sad,
So,
sad that
and
though, the fact that you're well, it's great that you're the only one. But like say, hopefully by the time all these students pass in the, let's say, the 5, 6, 7 years, they hopefully pass it on to their people that take apprentices on and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
hopefully over the next 10, 15 years, you see a more influx of more tailors coming through. And to be fair, like we've said, we have had 2 or 3 come through saying, "Oh, I've opened up a shop, I've opened up a little boutique, I've opened up,"
Mhm.
from yourself, and as soon as we hear like, "Oh, do you supply?" Obviously, I'm a startup. I'm like, absolutely, you did the course. We will obviously support you. We'll send the books out, and like I say, to be fair, hopefully we want that to continue.
yeah,
We find it
that's awesome.
it's an inspiration for us because obviously, you've taken them through the process. They've then moved on, and they've, actually been able to start a career and a lifestyle that has started from your classroom, and they've evolved from that. And it is inspiring and it is brilliant. And, like we say, we'll always support everyone coming through because they are the future. They are the
Yeah,
future of tailoring. And without the future tailors, who are we going to supply?
Yeah, and it'll just go away.
Mm.
Speaking of future, what are your thoughts on this industry and its future? Like just over the next 5 to 10 years, if you can even think that far ahead.
Yeah, like I said, when we've obviously me and Gav speak about it all the time about obviously vision and where we want to be, etc. But we find it difficult because every time we plan something, something like a world dramatic scene happens. If it's not for COVID, it's not for wars, it's not for. If everything was such nice meadows and rainbows, it'd be so easy. But like I said, we just try, like I say, we try to bring out a range, one new range every year. We just try, obviously, we try to listen to our customers just to see what they like, and then if it fits in, because obviously everyone has different ideas and every
Yeah.
climate's different. So what's
Hmm.
good in Japan is different in China. What's good in China is different in South Korea. What's different in South Korea won't sell in the United States. What sells in the United States won't sell in Europe. So you've got to try think about all that, blend it all in, and try to come up with something that fits all. Might not fit everybody, but then you've just got to.
Right,
And again, unless you've got a multi-billionaire behind you that could just throw ranges at you all the time, and they'll just sit there anyway because we've said it before. Oh yeah, make this, make this, make this, and you're looking at it and like you're going to buy the black and the navy. It's like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
right,
So we,
yeah,
we try obviously come up with different things and different ranges, and you're never reinventing the wheel too much because, like I say, why change something that works? So you might put a different finish on the similar fabric. So, like I
right,
mentioned before, you've got VV fabric, you've got a London shrunk, which is like a drying process where it dries for longer naturally. Or, like I say, you might just give it a nice little fluffed up semi-mill finish, but it's on the same yarn because there's only so much you can do with different yarns.
right.
But like I said, we've come out with the spectrum this time, where it's a lot lighter. So, like for your climate, where in the summer it's 35, 36 degrees, it's just 52s to beautifully soft Panama fabric.
Yeah.
So,
I'm actually making a pink suit for myself
can't
in
wait
that.
to see it. We can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty badass, I think. So
You're
Well,
going.
I think we
You're going
need to
on the
feature
website.
that on the website.
You're going on the website.
Yeah.
When,
I've got so many jackets I need and suits that I need to like send you pictures of, and not just of mine, but the kids too.
send them
Absolutely.
because
Yeah. So,
well, I said that's the next thing because obviously we are going to put on the website about obviously that we support obviously the American Bespoke Tailoring Association, the Academy, sorry, not association, and we want to make sure that obviously, like I said, people that's recognised.
yeah.
It's great. Like I said, what you're doing is great, but like I said, going back to what you mentioned about visions for the next 5, 10 years, if we've stopped predicting, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just have to take it months at a time and just
Yeah.
we can't. I could have told you 3, 4 years ago what are the quiet months, what are the good months. Like I know that January and February, it's quietish because it comes obviously after Christmas. You've obviously always got
Right.
you've got Chinese New Year, you got our New Year, then Chinese New Year, which is
Mm.
now. So that's January and February. March then starts to pick up. March, May, June, always very busy usually, and then end of June, early July, August, always quiet because obviously you've got like in Europe, French, Italy, they shut all August, just the way they do it.
Yeah.
And then obviously people go on the holidays, and then September, October, November always good, and then December it depends. You've got obviously Christmas coming up, and again it's just
Right.
it's like this. Now
Yeah.
we had a really good January, but February started only a week in, but it's been quieter. But you just can't predict it. Just
Right.
no,
Right.
and that's why it's so hard to predict. Obviously, anything that can happen because some months are very good, where some can be quiet, and you think, oh, that's worrying. But then again, we always know the month after will always be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what we are planning over the next 5, 10 years is one. Obviously, we're going to carry on expanding the brand. We have got a new range in mind, but it's top secret. We can't divulge any information on it at the moment. That's something that is probably I'm keen to do over the next year to 18 months. But the other thing that we would like to do is encourage more people to come and visit and see the process for themselves. Of the weaving, the dyeing, the finishing, which again is fantastic for them, and it's an eye opener, and it's a learning curve, and they get to see the whole process. And I suppose we could probably predict the next disaster that's going to happen better than what we could predict what's going to happen in the next 5 years. But we keep pushing, we keep going. But I think expanding the brand, expanding the ranges, obviously listening to customers' feedback, what they're looking for, trying to satisfy and appease everyone at the same time. Because what we try to do is we'll listen to 6 or 7 different ideas, and we'll try and amalgamate them into one, which tries to suit everybody. Then, we have got a lot of things going on. Obviously Sam deals heavily in the TV and film industry, so we're very, very busy with that. We've got some stuff that we're doing at the minute that we can't talk about, but we will be able to in a couple of months' time, which will end up on the website, which is very exciting for us. But I suppose the TV and film industry is a great thing that we do. We've done a lot of stuff. We've done some private projects. We've just completed the one which was for the Marines, and we made marine fabric blazer.
Oh, wow.
Fabric, which is going to be an ongoing project now. So again, that's something that's really exciting. And then we get pulled in different directions. We've been working with a classic car restoration company, and they've used some of our fabrics for the seating in Land Rovers and stuff. So it's really diverse in what we actually get involved in. Sam's dealing with a local golf club which wants the green fabric for the blazers, for stuff like that. So these are the kind of projects and the stuff that we're going to continue to pursue over the next 5 years. Alongside trying to develop new ranges, alongside trying to bring in new staff ourselves and train and develop them. So it's an exciting time. I think we've got over a lot of issues. We've had COVID, we've had the disruptions in the world, but we've battled through and we've got a lot of stuff going on that we're very excited, and in the next couple of years that we'll be able to explain it further.
I find more what we like. Going back like 10 years, like say when we used to make a new range and would sell it, I find that a lot more customers they tell you what they want, but they would rather make to order for themselves on, like, just for example, navies, charcoals, blacks. They give you the order 500-600 meters, planning for their next 6 to 12 months worth of sales, which makes it a little bit easier for us because, like I say, you can make fabric all day, but I can't plan and prep for every single customer,
Right.
because I don't know how much they're going to sell. And I don't know their markets as well as what they do. So going back to where we can only, for the stock supported cut lengths, which is what we make the books for, that is mainly for people like yourself and the tailor shops, where people like the TV and the film, as Gavin mentioned, they want 50 to 100, 150 meters of certain colors, because in obviously the films you've got armies, you've got hotel chains, all in the films, but they all need garments, they all need suits. And like I said, like Gavin mentioned, when it comes to like films and stuff, it's so exciting because one, it's ours. Like we've done stuff like the Gilded Age, we did all of that, and I think I don't know, she got a BAFTA, not a BAFTA. I think she got a BAFTA or a Globe. She got something for best. It was Ellen Milivojevic, her name is, and she is unbelievable. I don't know if you've heard of her. She is so good. And like I said, there's another very good costume designer, world famous Patrick Wiley, and them two create such good. How they can make a black suit or a navy suit look so good on screen, I don't know, because it's just a plain suit, but they make little, like say, they'll put little things on it, like I say, like your buttonholes, or they'll put little monuments or just something on it to make it look so good.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what I love it, because, like I say, I've done so many TV and films now over the last 10 years. And I say a lot of it's on the website, but we can't put it on till like 2 years. Like, we've known about stuff that's been, I can tell you now, this is coming out, but we can't talk about it because you're not
Yeah.
allowed. You're just not allowed.
No, it's
And
top secret.
like I said,
Yeah.
I once saw some sketches of the Gilded Age back in 2019. It didn't come on
Mm.
TV till 2022, and it's like, oh my god, I've known and seen about these. So by the time it comes out onto TV, like, oh wait, I forgot about that. We did that not long ago.
But it
Mm.
must make you feel good when you're like, wow, that's our cloth. Like
Oh
we
yeah.
were a part of that, and to build your reputation around um, that particular industry. Because you think about a lot of the tailoring enthusiasts, kids nowadays are like, oh, anything that has to do with a costume and they want to talk about it,
Mm.
especially if suits are involved. And there's more and more students out there that want to get involved, not so much in tailoring, but in costuming. I mean, I've
Mm.
had probably four or five yeah, 4 or 5 students come through the academy over the past couple of years that either had experience in costuming
Mhm.
and they were taking tailoring to take it up to a whole nother level, or they were taking tailoring as a foundation to
Mm.
getting into it.
Go back into it.
And so it is a huge industry to get into, whether it be theater or film. You know, my only concern is what's going on in Hollywood, because right now here, Hollywood in
Sure.
many, many ways is kind of having a meltdown.
Well,
Um,
we're quite lucky because again, Sam deals with he deals a lot with Apple TV, he deals a lot with Netflix.
yeah,
Um, so
You-
obviously, I know we had the right to strike in Hollywood, which was an issue. So nobody was doing anything. Um, but obviously, with Netflix and your Apple and stuff, that we they were still doing stuff. But again, I suppose for your students, the ones that are using it as a foundation to move into costumes and stuff, it'll be the same for them when they get to where they are as where we are when we see it. So we'll be sat with friends or something. We'll be watching a film, of, like for example, Oppenheimer, Cillian Murphy, and I go, oh yeah, we supplied that, and wow. But that's what'll happen. It's like a little off the cuff comment. You go, oh yeah, we supplied that. And they go, wow, really? Yeah. And then they're like, well, I want to do that. I could do that. And then they'll be sat there in the same situation as us one day going with their friends, I made that. And it's a great journey. It's a fantastic journey, and it it never gets old for us and it never gets old for Sam. The fact that you'll sit there and go, we did that. It's like I mentioned just before, we're working on a project at the moment with a company, which is going to come through in the next couple of months, which we never thought we'd work on. But it's come to our door. We're really excited about it. I
People
just
think
wish we could tell you more.
People think
yeah,
I'm making it up when I say that I've made, when I've supplied the fabric to like Oppenheimer and Gilded Age, and like I say, there's, have you seen the Apple series Flight with
Mm-mm.
Idris Elba?
No, I have not.
It was called Hijacked.
Hi,
Okay,
Jack. Yeah.
Um, and I say there's just two fabrics in there, and you're like, and it's for the uniforms for the air hostesses on it. And I said, oh, I provided them. Like, give up. I'm like, no, like, I'm serious. Like, it happened 18 months, 2 years ago, but I'm telling you now, like, it's ours. It's crazy.
yeah.
But like I said,
Yeah. Who do you think you are?
I don't know, like, I won't make it up. I'm telling you, honestly. Like, that is my
It's really
job.
Yeah, it's really weird because even though we've done so much over the years, and we have really done a lot, you kind of you take it with a pinch of salt, and it doesn't really sink in as to what you've done. And then it's only when people relate it back to you think, oh yeah, I did that. It's like the Malaysian actor Julian Chia. He's an actor film director over in Malaysia. And I speak to him personally, and it's like I don't acknowledge like the height of what that relationship is,
Right.
and it's a very strange thing because other people go, "Wow, you spoke to them," or "Wow, you spoke to them," and it's like, yeah. And for us, it's just like in it because we do it so much all the time. It's like an everyday experience. We don't sort of get starstruck and stuff.
Like
Right.
I mentioned previously, the main guy who makes the suit for Peaky Blinders, which is
Mhm.
obviously everyone knows Peaky Blinders. So
Sure.
there is one master tailor, and I'll say his name because he would not mind at all. He's in Ireland, and he is Ronald Johnson. He's a master tailor, 45 years worth of experience. He
Mm.
goes to Killian Murphy's house because he lives in obviously in Ireland to do his
Yeah.
suit. I've had a suit made by him as well. So in theory, I've got
Oh,
the same suit and cut as Killian Murphy. Obviously, I need a bit more fabric because he's a bit slimmer than me. However, like I say, we'll get over that. But like it was saying previously, like I say, he just loves the fabric, he loves the suit, but he's the most down to earth guy. You never see him at parties or anything. He's just the most family man you'll ever meet. When Ronald goes to the house, they've got a big Labrador, and the Labrador's jumping up all over him, like get down, like it's such a normal family. But the guy's one of the biggest actors in the world, and he's wearing our stuff, and he's like, wow, it is a big thing that somebody like Killian Murphy and Tom Hardy
sure.
are all
Yeah.
wearing your suits. It is crazy, really.
I think the
Well,
next time you put that suit on, Sam, we'll have to get you into makeup.
I don't think I'll ever look as good as Tom Hardy. I'd like to think I would, but unfortunately not.
hey, Sam, you have your own charm. Let me
No,
tell you.
I've got to
You
have
have
something.
your own. But
Tell
I
us that
think
on a
that
Monday morning.
Yeah,
yeah, the thing that's really important to take from what you're saying in terms of, a lot of the successes that you've had is that two things, in my opinion, is first, you guys are doing something that you love, right?
Mm.
You're passionate about it. It's not like, and I'm sure you have those days you're like, oh God, I'd just like to stay home in bed one day. But for the most part, um, what you're doing is if it's your passion, it doesn't feel like a job. It doesn't feel like, oh, I got to go to work today. And I think when you choose a profession that is your passion, um and I have experienced this countless times in my life, the success comes over time. You have to be in it for the long game, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
And I think to give a strong message to a lot of our younger viewers out there who are looking to embark into this industry, you know, and if your opinion is the same, it's like, look, I went into tailoring not because I wanted to make money, right? I became a tailor because I realized after being an accountant for 22 years that I wasn't happy.
Mm.
And I wanted to do something that I was passionate about, that I love doing. And my mom, had taught me how to sew all those years ago, and honor my mom and the legacy that she left me. And, I have been so happy, like the past 11 years that I've been doing this, almost 12 now, have been the happiest 12 years of my life.
Mhm.
And some of the most successful years of my life, not in terms of the money that I've made. But when I look at the kids that are graduating from the academy and they're going out there and they're starting businesses and they're finding jobs and now they're successful, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's the thing that we as old are the elders, if you will, now we're getting to be the elders. Maybe not you, Sam, not yet, but
I'm probably younger than some of your students.
I don't know. I have a 19-year-old right now. You know you're not
Oh, I'm not
19.
19. No, I'm 30. I'm not that young.
Oh, yeah,
I
you're
think I've gone
baby.
from an elder to an older.
Yeah.
I call Gavin Grandad normally.
Dad.
No,
Dad.
going back to what you said though, like I say, just to the students, just if you're passionate about it, just don't give up on your dream. It will come.
Right.
And I just think that long as life's too short, enjoy it. And like you say, it is a great profession as long as you stick to it. It's not going to come
Yeah.
within 6 to 7 months. Give it
Right.
a couple of years, and you will see how far you've come. From not being able to sew a button on to being able to make a suit is a massive,
Right.
massive thing.
Huge. And that's what I tell the students, like, you're going to leave here after 8 months. don't stop tailoring.
Mm.
Like, even if you're working in a job where like we have Jordy, right? That you met, and Jordy came to visit you. You know, Jordy took a position with a men's custom tailoring shop, and
Yeah, I've spoke
he's
to him since he joined. Yeah.
yeah, and he's doing more. He's in more of a sales role right now.
Hmm.
But his end game is, hey, I want to have my own bespoke shop. So I'm doing this so I can save money. And so I tell him, keep tailoring. You might be working a full time job and you might come home at night, you might be tired, but you've got the weekends. Pull your
Hmm.
cloth out and pick it up where you left off. And you know, I after the kids leave, we have this whole online tailoring. We have both a cutting class and a tailoring class. And the students have access to that forever. So they have no excuse not to go back and say, "Oh, I don't remember the process of putting a suit together." Well, why would you? You've only done it twice, right? So, you know, but that's, I think, the most important thing is you have to keep doing it. I take time off over the summer. I don't tailor a whole lot over the summer, but when I'm in school, I'm always making something, whether it's for me or for my husband or a friend or whatever. I've got like 3 or 4 projects going on. I'll be like, oh, I forgot about that. I better pick it up and do it again, you know? And so it's just a craft that you can never stop learning, and you have to continue to
Yeah,
practice.
it's like
I mean, sorry, it's interesting what you say because obviously, me and Sam have worked together for a long time now. Obviously, we both have personal lives. We both have lives outside of the industry. But the weird thing is, the only thing we ever really talk about is the industry and the
Yeah.
passion that we have for it. We,
Yeah.
even our personal lives and the private lives somehow entangles back into the fabric trade. Um, but again, it's because of the passion and it's what we love. And same for your students. It does take a long time. It is worth it in the end. It's like the fabric supply chain. Let's go back 10, 15 years. If no one had the foresight to be where we are today, back 15 years ago, they'd make the fabric, they'd put it in the car, they'd drive around the country in the car, fill it,
Mm.
and try get rid of all the fabric and sell it before they came home, so they didn't have to bring it home. Obviously, and then we've had the internet, which has changed things, and but if those people 10, 15 years ago didn't have that insight and foresight to carry on doing the passion that they did to get it to where it is today,
Right.
again, where we'll be, and that works for everyone. We're sat here now, and it's the next 5 or 10 years. So, um, obviously, the internet's been a massive boom, and now I think in the next 5 to 10 years, you've got your AI and your your
Mm.
VR stuff. So I think what's going to happen moving forward now is we'll be able to put a VR headset on and stand in your room with a fabric, and it'll be like we're really there.
Like a
And I
hologram.
think,
Yeah.
well, it's
what's
actually
coming. That's what's coming.
it is the VR thing. It's like a teleport. They're moving into like teleportation type thing. It's not a real life teleportation, but you can actually put your headset on there, put a headset on, and you will be in that room with that person, and they will believe that you are there with them, and you can be there with that fabric, and they will be able to see it in real life, but through a VR headset. And I think that's the way the world's moving now.
And all you
Where
do
do I
is
get
Um,
all
where
you
do
do
I
is
get mine
all
so
you
I
do
can
is
spend time with you?
I mean, all you do is you'll grab the fabric from the book so you can feel it, and then you'll be able to see a big piece of it while we're showing it. That's what obviously I.
that's where we're moving. Yeah.
Have you seen
That's
Star Wars? The Star Wars where they have them little discs and they just throw the disc up and Yoda or someone pops up like they're there. That's where we're heading.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. Well, imagine how much money it would save you, right? Time and money, and having to produce all your books, right? You know, instead of saying, "Hey, send me the Spectrum book," and you're like, "Okay, here," and I can't even imagine what goes into producing those books.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't think you'll never move away from the actual true touch and feel. You'll never move away from that because you need that. You can have it there in front of you, virtual or visually, but the actual touch and feel, you'll never lose that. Because that makes the biggest difference when working with fabric. You need to touch and feel it.
Like
Yeah.
you put the images on the website, and like say you can see obviously the best. You've got the best camera lighting. You can do, but until you get it in front of you and feel it, and the color at the same time, it's
Yeah,
Right.
very difficult. Like you get some people that buy it offline. Oh my god, the fabric's arrived. I love it, which
Yeah.
it's great for us because it just proves to us that they like the fabric. I don't think they care what turns up. It's just a case of they once they get hold of it, it makes them realise that the photo that they've seen is well, it is as good as it says.
Mm.
Basically.
yeah,
Right.
But yeah, like going back to the spectrum as you mentioned with the colour, the pink. I just think that it's hard to see it on a. There's 20 colours in there. They're all plain. Well, until you feel it, it's just a picture.
Yeah.
If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's just one dimensional,
Yeah.
yeah.
and
And you can't really
that's
take a photo any other way because you don't want it to scrunch it up or turn it like you can for one Instagram post, but for the website, it's got to be flat because then you can just see really because you don't want shadows or anything like that.
right.
Because you
Yes.
think, oh well, is it that color? Is it that color? You're not too sure, so that's why we have to do them flat. But I say we'll never ever go away from the books. Again, I
The
can
books.
if you come over, I'll take you to the pattern book company. You can see everything.
Ah,
You'll need about at least 3 days here just to get through everything.
I'm thinking I might have to organize a field trip,
Mm.
where
It'll
you
be an
literally,
expensive what for you and your students.
yeah, well,
Oh, it'll be
just to say, hey, listen,
yeah.
reach out to some of the alumni and be like, listen, I'm planning a trip to go over and see, the guys from English Cloth. Here's the cost of the airline ticket, and just bring some of the current and former students over to see you. I've
To
talked
be
with
fair, it'll be a life changing experience for a lot of people.
I think so.
Mm.
I've talked with Jeffrey, my husband, about it, and he's like, "Oh, what do I want to go over and see a bunch of cloth being made for?" And I said, "Listen,
There's loads of pubs
first
for
of
him.
all,
There's loads of pubs for him.
yeah." I told him, I said, "First of all, Gavin and Sam are going to make sure they show you a good time, and you'd love my husband, big guy, nice guy." So, and he's big history buff. And I said, there's tons of history in Huddersfield that you probably aren't even aware of. I said, so he's getting convinced. We thought about coming this year, but with everything going on, with these conflicts, we were like, let's see if things chill
Yeah,
out a
yeah.
little bit. But we will definitely make it over. And if he doesn't want to come, I'll just leave him home. He can watch the dog.
Perfect.
What dog you got?
We have a mix of a pit bull and a American bulldog.
Oh wow, big
Um,
one then.
she's a sweetheart. Her name's Pebbles,
Love it.
and she's a character. In fact, I take her to school with me 3 days a week,
Yeah,
and the kids.
there you go, Gavin. They bring their dog to work.
Yeah.
Gav would let me. I've got a Labrador and I love him. And to be fair, but Gav's allergic. So like, for
Oh.
example, if I bring my dog in today and then he comes in tomorrow, I'm like, you had your dog in yesterday, didn't you? I'm like, yeah, and he can tell it's that bad.
He's
Yeah.
Eyes
wow.
burn. But I
Oh.
say he likes dogs. That's the thing, and dogs like him. I have brought him before, and he literally goes and sits next to Gavin.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture of Pebbles. I'll flash one
Yeah.
up on the screen here when I do some editing. She has a face. I mean, she just will melt your heart, this girl. She's
Oh,
just oh my God. I've had dogs my whole life, but and I don't know if it's because this is the first female dog I've had. So I feel like she's, like my BFF, but I've never loved a dog like I love this dog. I mean, she's just amazing, so
it's good. It's good.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So, well, we'll definitely need to come and visit for sure. That's for
Anytime,
sure.
anytime.
So,
Yeah, it'll be
well,
our pleasure. Absolutely our pleasure.
yeah. Well, I don't know, guys. Anything else we want to talk about? We've had a really great conversation today. I think we've any last
So
thoughts
yeah,
or
so
comments?
tell me your plans for the next 5 years.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I want to continue doing the in-house courses for sure
Mhm.
because I think those are the ones that are the most impactful. And it's really interesting because I never know from year to year how many students that I'm going to
Yeah.
have. Always kind of a surprise. So, I've already got one young lady that has registered for the coming fall, and I've had two other young ladies come to visit. And their parents are kind of the ones paying the tuition bills, so they're trying to decide.
Mm.
The you know the thing that, and I won't get off the beaten track too much, but it's been very interesting meeting and talking with a lot of my candidates
Mhm.
parents, because they all say to me the same thing. I want my son or my daughter to go to college and get ready a real degree.
Mhm.
And they're like, what kind of future do they have in tailoring? And here it's much different, obviously, than in England. But I tell them, listen, we have a very fragmented industry, but we have a very strong industry. There's people buying suits all day long, right?
A very
I said,
big market. Yeah.
"Yeah." I tell them all of the tailors from Savile Row in London travel over here 3 or 4 times a year to get business. So
Yep.
there's a big industry. It's just we don't have a big house, a big, conglomerate. It's a lot of fragmented tailors and tailoring houses.
Mm-hmm.
So, but so the in-house classes I'd like to keep doing.
Hmm.
um, I've had a lot of people say, well, why don't you expand them, why don't you make them bigger, why don't you get bigger space, because we're in a pretty small space. But the thing I've learned about that is I can only manage on my own so
So
many
much.
students.
Yeah.
Yeah, at one time. And, you know, it gets really difficult to kind of keep in touch and see what each student is doing and whether they're executing what I've taught them properly.
Hmm.
So, when I first started the academy, I thought 10 would be a great number. I had 8 a couple years ago and it was frantic. 8. I mean, just frantic. I was constantly just go, 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 go. Marlene, Marlene, I have a question. I have a question. Da, 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 which is great. But I felt spread really thin, really
Yeah.
thin.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, I think the magic number is really like 5 or 6 people. And it sounds small, but I'd rather have 5 or 6 really great candidates and be
Mm.
able to teach them really well, than to try to jam pack a bunch of people in and not give them the time and
The same
attention.
attention. Yeah. No, I understand. I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah.
no, it makes sense. It makes sense.
And then there's the online portion. And so I recently, I put out during COVID, I filmed and recorded, how to make a 3-piece suit, right? And that was a lot of fun. And then I recently just finished the whole cutting program. So, we're teaching how to pattern and the theory behind fit, and the kids actually cut and baste and do a basted fitting through my guidance on videos. So that's all great. And I think that online is a place that I need to keep focusing on,
Yeah.
um, because there's such a broader reach. And quite honestly, my online students work 100 times harder than my in-house students do.
Mm.
My Yeah, my in-house students tend to be really lazy because I'm there. So they'll be like, I forgot how to do this. Can you show me how to do this again? And I've learned to basically say to them, no, go figure it out and come ask
Yeah.
me questions. Where my online students, you know, when they have a question, it's a valid question where
Mm.
they'll email me or arrange a one-on-one and we'll talk through things. And so I feel like that space really needs to be broadened. And so, one of the things when I revamped my website, I kind of took those two programs and I broke them out. So somebody can learn how to just, measure, pattern, cut, and fit trousers or a waistcoat or just a jacket so that people can kind of focus on wow, maybe I don't have the tuition money to take the whole class at once,
Yeah.
so to break it up and give people the ability to take it in small chunks.
More
And
accessible. More
yes,
accessible. Yeah.
absolutely. I think that's really important and not
Yeah.
penalize them for it. If they took all three classes separately, it's no more or less than the full class, right?
Mm.
Mm. And then, I think the other thing too is I realize there's a lot of tailors out there that really want to expand their horizons, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of tailors that don't do women's wear that are
Mm-hmm.
possibly interested in that. So, down the road here, I don't think it'll be this summer, maybe, but I want to do a whole program on how to measure, pattern, cut, and fit for a woman. And at the very least, a jacket, because that's the hardest part. So that people,
I mean, to be honest, I think that's something that I see on your students that come through to us, which I think is absolutely fantastic, is the amount of females that are getting involved, because it is a very, very limited market. I know it's
right,
more difficult to cut, for a female, but the fact that you're attracting them clientele to become tailors is absolutely phenomenal.
yeah.
Phenomenal.
Well, that's where I started. When I decided to get back into this industry or get into this industry, I really started out designing with no
Mm,
background in fashion, right? I just was like, I know what I like to wear. And I got tired of going, to the department store and buying suits that made me look like a man. It was just a
mm.
box, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
And, so I started designing suits back in, 2012, 2011, 2012, that were more feminine and curvy and, really emphasized a
Mhm.
woman's figure, which
Yeah.
that's what we should have, what we should
Mhm,
be able to wear, right?
mhm.
And when I got into tailoring, it was because I had a tailor, a master tailor, that was actually making the garments for me. And I started looking at what he was doing, and I was like, oh my God, I want to learn how to do that. And he's really a great guy. His name is Gadal Vaduluz, if you can, he's Russian. Um, and, I went to him like, Gadal, will you teach me how to tailor? And he was like, no. He's like, you're too old and you're too stupid. Get out. That's what he told me. I was like, oh, geez.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, he just didn't want to teach me. That was the thing.
Yeah.
And but I didn't let that deter me. That's when I was like, I have to figure out how to learn this on my own. And since then, Gadal has come back and said, he's like, I think you're a better tailor than I am. And I'm like, what? And he's like, I really do. He's like, I've never made a suit like you've made. That's ridiculous. So
It's when the pupil becomes the teacher.
yeah, yeah, right. It was
Mhm.
and for him to say that was a big deal because,
I'm waiting for Sam to do that to me.
I'm not even biting. Not even biting.
I mean, obviously, another thing moving forward, I think in the next year or so, um, where I think we could support yourself probably a bit more. It's more for your students rather than yourself. Is I think obviously on the website we have a gallery section where we feature suits and products that people have made. I think we could probably add a subcategory into there for ABTA students. And what we could do is feature a section there where if you can encourage your students once they've tailored their suit or product, that they send a picture of it, obviously either on a mannequin or on a person. We can start building up a section on there of all the finished products that your students do.
I would love that. They would love that. That is so
Yeah.
generous. Oh
It's,
my God.
Hmm.
well, it's a bit of free advertisement for them. Then all they've got to do to show the work is just send whoever they want to show
Just send a picture.
a link to
Yeah.
Yeah.
a picture or a link
And
to the website.
and again, it's for them to see something not just finished on the table or on themselves, to actually see it visualized on the internet on a website. It doesn't have to be connected to them, to their name. It can just be the product, and we can just put their initials. But it's an achievement and a sense of pride that there you go, I've made this. There it is on the big world wide web. So
Yeah.
then, if they want to carry on in the tailoring industry, they can go, well, there's something that I did. There it is on that website. More than
Well,
happy to do that.
that'd be well, and don't forget they're Americans, so they'll be like, "Oh, I'm so putting my name on that."
That's fine.
You're
That's
not
absolutely
modest.
fine.
You're not modest, believe me. I think that that would be. Thank you. I
Mm.
have no doubt that I could probably pull some pictures together of former students that would
Yeah.
be willing to have that, as well as the kids that I've got going through the class today. So
Well, if
that
we can get a collection of pictures together, we can actually do a launch on it, which would be fantastic. We'd
yeah.
love to do that.
Well, we'll do that when we finish our suits. We'll be finishing up at the mid May.
Yeah, we can
Um,
Hmm.
we can
so
talk at the end of April and obviously get
Yeah.
that all organised to
Yeah.
yeah,
put on.
that'd be awesome. And I'll tell the kids now because each of them made two suits. They made a suit for them, two suits for themselves. They'll have two suits for themselves, and then they've made another suit. So everybody has two suits to put on that either
Yeah.
they made or someone else made for them. So it'll be really incredible for them to model, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Especially
No, absolutely.
especially the girls, they'll be like, "Oh yes, here we go." You know.
Perfect.
So absolutely. That'd be awesome, guys. That would be awesome. And I think it would be also on my part, I haven't done a very good job of promoting you guys either. I mean, obviously that's why I wanted to do this, was not just to promote you, but to share your profession and what you do, and bring awareness to the whole idea of these beautiful cloth. But same thing, getting you guys um and maybe putting together a bit of history on the both of you, your backgrounds, and bringing that onto the website, so people know that you're almost like, I shouldn't even say almost, but you're a partner. You're a partner in what we
Mm.
do,
Yeah.
um, and just we'll take that partnership to another level. I think that's really great.
No, we're just, obviously, as I say it again, I say it with my hand on my heart, we're proud and we're privileged to be able to work with yourself and your students. And, anything we can do that will promote that moving forward in the future, we'll do anything that we can to do that.
Thank you. Well, back at you as well. Anything I can do to continue supporting you. I mean, honestly, you're the only cloth I carry. I don't
Mhm.
talk to any other clothiers. If they approach me, I'm like, nope, I'm set. I don't need anybody else. I work with English cloth. They're my guys. And they're
And
like, well,
that's enough for us. That's brilliant.
yeah. And I tell the kids that too. I'm like, you can go out and talk with other clothiers. You'd be stupid not to do that. I said, but I
Mhm.
don't think that you're going to have the same type of relationship with other clothiers, the bigger name, clothiers,
Yeah.
than you will with Gavin and Sam, because they've seen you go through school and supported you through that.
But
So
I think the difference with others, even once they've been with you and, they do the course and then, they move on like some of them have, we'll get an email, but we know who they are. They're not just an email. We know them. We've
yeah,
worked with them. We've spoke to them on WhatsApp. We keep it a very personal relationship, and that's what you don't get with other companies. You're just a cash cow. You're just money. You're just another customer. But for us, it's not that. We want to help and work with them afterwards as well, and
yeah,
support them as much as we can. We have, like you say, some of your students have carried on and they've emailed and they've gone, "Can I still get that fabric from you? Is there any chance I can still get it at the same price?" I'm like, "Absolutely," because you're starting up. We want to support you into your future as well. So it
right,
is very different for us. It's very different. We take it personal.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you, that's a rare quality to find in today's world, Gavin, for sure. So again, we give, obviously, thank you,
You're
and
welcome.
gotta keep supporting each other. So, Well, I am going to let you two gents get back to your day.
Hmm.
Um, and I want to thank you again for coming on and talking with me and sharing your knowledge with everybody out there that I'm sure will be watching this. And yeah, I'm going to end the recording and say goodbye. But we'll talk very soon.
For sure. And thanks again, guys, for having us.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you,
All right.
Marlene.
Marlene.
You got it. Thank you. All right. Bye bye.